1845, and the crop failed in Ireland that year, and as a result, half of the population of the country starved to death or were forced to emigrate to Britain and America, and it was a great tragedy. Now, you've used the word genocide, Chris, and that's a strong word. So where is the difference there? I mean, how do we tally potato famine with genocide? What actually went on here?
Well, seeing that the British government used over half of its empire army at the time to perpetrate that genocide, one must call it genocide. They were in Ireland, and they removed all of Ireland's abundant foods at gunpoint. The shipping lists of food crops from Ireland are shown weekly in the London Times at the time. I inserted the 2 or 3 of them into my new book. I didn't go overboard, because once you see enough thousands of tons of material going on a regular basis, then you don't have to do the entire period.
Yeah.
But that's where I was going. So when you use your troops to kill about 5 million people, that cannot be considered anything but genocide. And by the way, I don't generally use the word genocide, because no Irish person ever used it at the time. Genocide, the word genocide was coined post-World War II by Raphael Lemkin to describe what Hitler had done. And so seeing that it did not exist, I tend to use the word that was used in print at the time, and that is Holocaust.
And of course, when the word Holocaust is used, most people think of World War II. But for those who may not be aware, the meaning of Holocaust is a great or complete devastation or destruction, quite often or especially by fire, or it can be a sacrifice completely consumed by fire, a burnt offering, a mass slaughter, or the reckless destruction of life. And that's what we're talking about here, because there was a lot of growth and incredibly fertile land in Ireland, as there still is to this day. And it wasn't the case, Chris, was it, that it was just a country that grew potatoes and nothing else? There was an abundance of food, not only being grown, but taken out of the country while the general population starved by the British at gunpoint.
Yes, that is exactly what happened. And even though the English landlords who were in control of Ireland, all of Ireland's land at the time, some 90%, 95% of it, would tell the Irish, all right, the non-existent potatoes are yours, but everything else is ours because it's growing. You grow it on our land. And because you grow it on our land, we're taking it. And they had the army to back up that claim.
Okay, so there are a couple of questions then that will frame this conversation, I think. The first one, for me, certainly is, how were the British in a position to be able to do this? Was it the case that they saw, all right, the potato crop has failed in Ireland, let's get in there really quickly, steal all the food and let the people die because we don't like them? Or what was kind of the background to this happening?
Well, I think that Tim Pat Coogan did a pretty good job of describing the murderous intent of the bureaucrats then running Trevelyan and the others then running Ireland. Because he did such a good job of it, I didn't bother. I just, instead of showing what can be considered the intent as expressed in writing, I just used the deeds. So I let the deeds stand for themselves. And when you send in an army to remove the food, that speaks for itself. There's no way that can be misinterpreted.
I don't think so. And it is the case, for those that may not know, that Ireland was an occupied country and the vast majority of the land was owned by British landowners. Am I correct?
That is correct. And it's, in a sense, the proof of that is that the British government repatriated them nearly all between 1900 and 1910. But it spread a little bit before that and up until 1920. But they were all gone by 1920. And they were bought out by the British government at above market prices, I must add. And the recipients of that land divided up into typically 28-acre parcels that were much later, more recent years, consolidated into larger, more economic holdings. But survival farms of 28 acres, typically with a couple of acres of bog, wherever the nearest bog was, those people, including my father in County Roscommon, were still paying rents every year to pay off, to amortize the money that was given to those old English landlords. So the rent, the removal of Ireland's agricultural profit continued in through the 1960s.
Was it the case then that